we all are. That there's no question at all. But when we are posed with this question, what is this Tao, Dharma, will of God? The mind, as we know it, is not effectual in any way. But if we can, as we have now, brought ourselves to a point where we can recognize it, or the mind can recognize it, as an ultimate law, then we have something with which to work in relationship to all the other laws that we've been able to grasp and live by in our life. The law of cause and effect, and etc., etc. We all know them very well. But there's a story that goes into the other levels of this law, and I wonder how it is that we encompass those, what we could say, the laws of the other dimensions into this understanding of the workings of the laws of life in relationship to that ultimate law. Now Chang was his name, and he was a lesser official, magistrate, in the employ of a certain governor, province of China. But Chang died suddenly, and the assistants of the king of hell sent them to collect Chang and bring him before his throne. So when Chang was brought before the king of hell, and he looked up the records, the king of hell was aghast to see that Chang had accepted a bribe. So he was relegated to go back to the land of the living forthwith. But as the escorts were about to bring him back, he asked them, could they escort him through hell just on a little scenic tour? Which they agreed to. So he was taken through the realm of the hungry ghosts and then to the various other levels of torture, until finally, as he was about to depart, he saw a monk hanging upside down by his feet, being whipped on the legs, crying and wailing in pain. He was horrified when he got close to see it was his own brother. He said, what is this monk being punished for? And the assistants to the king of hell said, oh, he takes people's donations and he spends them on women and alcohol. So he is being whipped until he repents. But Chang was just mortified. When he came back into this realm of existence, he hurried to the monastery in which his brother lived to confirm that his brother was dead. But when he got there, just at the gate, he could hear these dreadful wails. And when he got inside, there was his brother, with his feet up against the wall, with great welts, with pus and blood oozing out of them. Chang said to his brother, what is the matter? What's happened? And his brother said, I cannot even bear to stand up because the pain goes right through me. So Chang told his brother what he'd seen in this dimension of hell. And his brother immediately became contrite, repented in that instant. And after that, he gave up women. He gave up alcohol. He started chanting the sutras with total dedication. Within 2 weeks, all of his melodies had passed. His legs were healed and he was well on the way. to reaching a state of enlightenment and bliss. Now this story's end is not told right now because it allows us, just at this juncture, to be able in ourselves to put together that abilities that we have, combining our divine physicist, our divine scientist, our divine alchemist. Just like we combine existence, knowledge and bliss at that level of mind, to understand what this means in relationship to the overall law, the Dharma, the Tao, the will of God. How do you understand this story in relationship to your experience of the law? The law that's enacted when stillness and the movement of life meet in us. When we're in our cosmic space capsule and we're moving through the various levels, we see very clearly those levels. In our movement, we know when we pass through the stratosphere, into the biosphere, into the place of no great gravity. But what about when we're totally still and we view all of those dimensions? What happens to those dimensions? Do you see them as dimensions? When you're standing still and looking at all the dancing atoms, do you see them, some vertical, some horizontal, some spinning? What's the difference from this viewpoint? What happens? For one thing we know, karma doesn't exist. Isn't that so? Why?
Because we're not there in there.
Absolutely
Playing
not.
the game anymore.
Exactly. How can there be any toing and froing? How could there be any cause and effect in that case? So, in relationship to this story, how does it work? Where is hell? Right? Isn't it? We know that.
In our mind.
In our mind.
Out of alignment.
Yes. So what do all of these stories mean for us then? What are they pointing out to us then? What's the subtle meaning for us within this story?
Well, the meaning for me is that, you know, like the monk with his legs up and, you know, being whipped and all that. Like, we're past that. So therefore we don't keep whipping, and then we don't then get into that thing of believing that it's like that, because for us then it's not like that anymore.
But we're still bound by the laws of life. We're still bound by the law of gravity. If we jump from a tall building, we're still going to fall to the ground and settle, aren't we? So in this sense, the laws of life are still functional within us. But how is it different?
We know that anything we create.
All right. Oh, it's good. I thought I was out of a job last week. Stories restored me. Delightful to go. Let's see where it leads us. As we delve into and understand from this viewpoint, the viewpoint of absolute stillness, the laws of existence, the dimensions of existence, and see what happens for us in answering that question, which is now brought down to what is this law? And we have to answer this question to be able to know what it is that we do. Can I borrow the image?